So the title today is Go with the Flow. Go with the flow. We will finish The Art of Abundance, 10 Rules for a Prosperous Life this morning by Dennis Merritt Jones. Now, I have condensed the 10 to 4. So let's start with a review of our journey that we've taken so far. The consciousness of abundance is BS. It is our belief system. It's our belief system, and therefore it is our worldview. It will determine how you see and manage life. A consciousness of abundance is more than money. It is every aspect of our lives. It deals with everything physical, emotional, as well as spiritual. It's all sufficient. There is nothing lacking. We need to understand, though, that the cause of this abundance is a principle. And the principle does not change. A student monk went to his master and said, "Would you give me some wisdom to handle life?" But the master was worshiping in silence that day. He asked the master to give him some wisdom for his life. The master didn't speak, but he wrote a note, and the note said, "Awareness." So the young monk said, have to be more to life than awareness. And the senior monk wrote, "Awareness, awareness." So then this guy is now frustrated. He's looking for direction in life, and he is not getting the answers that he is looking for. So he goes to the master again and says, "Look, you've got to tell me how to handle life." And the senior monk wrote, "Awareness, awareness, awareness." It's all about awareness. It's there for the taking, but you've got to be aware that it is there for you. We possess all that we need for this life within ourselves, but it is our awareness that will determine whether or not we manifest or whether or not we experience all that is possible. It is our awareness, not your mother's, not your father's, not your kids, not your friends. It's our consciousness. This is an individual thing this morning. In awareness, we have the power to change the possibilities of life into what we need. Changing and moving the possibility. There is an endless number of possibilities out there, but we determine what and how it will manifest in our lives. It is all about our consciousness. Now, this is not an indictment to say, this is what's going on in my life, what's in my consciousness. That's not what this is about. I just want to give you, though, the key on how to go forward. Going backward has no value whatsoever, except for looking at the lessons. But if we are unaware, we will not maximize the experience and the life that we can have. Our abundance will be limited if we are unaware. The Spirit is the cause. Where does our help come from? Where is all the goodness in life? Where is all the potential? It comes from the Spirit, the lover of my soul. And let me tell you this, it's not your husband, not your wife, not your partner, whoever that is. It's not your job. It's not the government. It's not the lotto. That's not what it is. Our source is God. Now, all of those things can be used to bless us. And remember, if you hit the lotto, you owe us 10%. All of it is available for us to be blessed. But we need to understand where our source is and what we can retrieve from the source. This is foundational. If you can't get past this, you can't worry about prosperity. You have to figure out what the source is. What is the foundation? Because once you get the foundation, you can build the rest of your life of possibility on top of it. Yes, we're talking about prosperity, but prosperity is the effect. The cause is the one source that we call God, that we call spirit, that we call life, whatever you call it. It's only one thing. It's all that life is. Our consciousness operates as the law of cause and effect. The law does not change. It always is the same. It does not change. But conditions are subject to change. If we understand the cause that can change the conditions that are in our lives. It works for everyone. Therefore, since it works for everyone, it works for people sometimes in bad ways. And they do negative things with the power that they have. But that still doesn't deny us, or should we stay away from all the possibility that is before us. So regarding the word law, we talk about the law a lot. So I need to remind everybody, we are not talking about the Old Testament, and we're not talking about Moses. We're talking about a principle. So you have to think of the law when we refer to it like you think of the law of gravity. That's what we're talking about. We're saying it does not change. So the principle that we are abundant does not change, whether or not we are prosperous or not. It does not change, but all potential, all possibility is resident and available to you. That's what makes the difference. We must be aware of the cause of our consciousness of abundance, because if we're not, we're looking in the wrong place. For a life of prosperity, we must understand that it is a consciousness of abundance that yields what you want in your life. If you only concerned about prosperity, then you won't be happy when things don't go your way. Prosperity is the effect. You will be happy sometimes and sorry sometimes if you're worried about the effect, if you're worried about prosperity instead of worrying about a consciousness of abundance. God, the divine loving presence, is everything we need. It is this principle that gives us a prosperous life. We must be aware, though, that God, the divine spirit, the ultimate reality of all that is the lover of our souls and wants us. Love wants you to be prosperous. It is the source of all good. God is the source and the supply. But let me understand, how does that work? Through you. That's how it works. It works through each one of us. That's where it comes from. So rule one, God is source. So because God is source, we can be one with what we call this thing called life. But we must know that God is the source of this life and this abundance that goes along with it. Abundance is a quality of the Spirit. And because we are from Spirit, a representation of it, therefore we are abundant as well. It is factory installed. Whether you want it to be or not, it's just a benefit that's yours. There is nothing to get. You possess all of the consciousness that you need for success in life if you become aware. Abundant life is the life worth living. An abundant life, it's the life of grace and ease. Don't you love the sound of that? A life of grace and ease. Our second rule says that abundance is based on our identity with God, our identity with Spirit. Where does our identity come from? There is only one life. That one life is God's life. That life is perfect. And that life is my life now. An awareness of that simple statement can take you for the rest of your life once it's realized in your life. Where do we come from? We come from the mind of God. What is the basis of our identity? We come from the mind of God. Even though you think your children came from the devil, they came from God. It's the mind of God has a thought with your name on it. God can't do anything else but think about you. And since God is love, what are we experiencing? God's love. That's our identity. You are so vital to the universe that you are always on the mind of God, as a metaphor for describing something that is actually beyond comprehension. God is our source. We are perfect, whole, and complete because of this one principle that we identify and we come from God. But you can walk through life unaware. I did, till eventually I just had to disagree that, okay, it's a principle. I can't avoid it. We have individual thoughts. Of course we do. But we have access to the consciousness of what we call the divine mind. That thought that is in God's mind is holding you only in love. It's only, and let's be aware of it. Even when it doesn't feel that way, it's still true. You are loved beyond measure. Be aware. Be aware. We can never be outside of God. How ridiculous is that? Is there some place that God is not? Not the God I know about. If your God is limited and can't be everywhere, you keep it. I need the one that's in control no matter what. That one power and presence must be there. That's the God I'm looking for. You can never be outside of the mind of God. You are one with God. We don't lose God. God doesn't lose us. God is right where you had that thought of thinking that you were lost. And all you have to do is go back to that thought and walk in the awareness that you are not separated. God is exactly where your thought left it. Never leaving you, never forsaking you. We are one with this divine presence. The idea of separation is the original sin. To believe that we can be outside of God. And therefore, there are certain things in life that I expect to happen. God is always there, and I am always in there. That's the only way it can be. Anything else would be far less than possibility. But the thing here is that fear of not enough arises as a belief naturally. Our world just teaches us that, but it comes from an idea of duality, that there is God and something else. And if there's something else, again, God's not big enough. There is only one God. God is all there is, love is all there is, and ain't nothing else. That is that belief that you understand that you have all the power and all the presence with you at all times to do what is necessary for you to do. When you can't do what you need to do, it's because you're not aware. And let me tell you, I'm saying you, and I am looking in the mirror. It applies to me too. Duality is a belief is that we can be separate from God and that God is not our universal source and supply. But the secret to life is this, is that we are not separated. We are never separated. There is only one life. The original presence and source and power of all that was created is us. We just put a different face on it. We are a representation of this one life so that the pure potential that we were born with is available to be used in the world. It already exists. You don't have to find what your calling is. Just follow your passion. That's what your calling is. You know where your passion is. God can only love. We cannot be lost. God is love. And I say this all the time. God is not just loving. God is love. It is equivalent. It is the same thing. So it's a character. It's an identity. And because it's an identity, it's our identity as well. I am so glad my robe just opened up. God is the source of love as well as our source for all things. Be aware that we are one with God. Rule 3, we are responsible for our consciousness. I don't know who you're waiting for. But if you're waiting for something, baby, it already arrived. It came here with you. It comes here with each one of us. We are responsible for our consciousness. That's hopefully why you're here, that you learn and can do and participate within the faith community so that your consciousness changes, that the beauty of all and who and what you are is allowed to come forth. Yes, and before we became adults, the people that were around us, the adults around us, were responsible at that particular point in time, even though some of them did a bad job. But that one life in which we live, there's nothing you can do about the past. Forgive and go on. Get the lesson and go in the direction of your abundance. There's nothing to worry. There is nothing we're going to fix in the past. But it is the collective consciousness of humankind that is mesmerized with the idea of not enough. Again, it's not enough. You don't have enough money. You don't have the right house. You don't have the right job. You don't have the right hair color. You don't have the right color eyes. They're always telling you that there is not enough and that you can buy it or join it. How ridiculous is that? I don't possess it naturally, but I can buy it or join it. Well, baby, there ain't no magic here. That's not what we do. But science is telling us that the universe is not contracting. It's expanding at all times. As a whole, humankind lacks this consciousness. It thinks there's not enough. So, of course, it hoards it, it abuses it, it wastes it, because it doesn't understand that it will be there tomorrow if we manage it correctly. It's all about our awareness, awareness, awareness. You can't get away from it. We tend, though, to function from a habitual position, a habitual autopilot position, that we're just reacting to life based on the community and what we have learned. But we can change that through intention. We can, because we are responsible for our consciousness. Autopilot is just the general way that which the world uses things. But we can go beyond that. We have the power as long as we don't give our power away. If we retain our power, the universe loves multiplicity. It is very clear. Everything replicates. Think about it. You plant a seed, and when it yields its harvest, it has more seed, more than the one seed that was planted. Everything that we do is the same way. It may be one seed that we plant, but you can expect a harvest. So including the things that are not good. Whatever way, they're all coming back no matter what it is. It is infinitely impossible to exhaust the possibilities that are in God. And if it is in God, it is in you. Be aware. You have all the potential in the world. Everything that was created was once a thought in someone's mind. You may have that thought, the next vital thought. But regardless to whether or not we all get to enjoy it and experience it, it's what you need to get through life. We can assume that and assure that the truth in which we know is true all the time because it is a principle. And because that principle is there and expansion is always there, there is always more for us if we have a consciousness of abundance. Your mind gives attention to certain things. And where your mind gives attention, there goes your energy, and there goes what you manifest. That's why it's very important for you to focus on the things in life that you want, not the things you don't want. If you focus on the things that you don't want more than the things you want, that's what you will yield in your life. Now, there's no guilt associated with that. We all have done it. It's not just you, it's me too. But why is this the case, though? Because we are energy conductors and energy converters. It is our thought that converts that energy into something. That's what it, even science has come out and taught us this, that it's a particle and a wave. And when we think, the wave becomes a particle, therefore manifested. That is quantum theory. So finally, they figured out what God knew all the time. But it happens in our life with what we do with our energy. We are a living, breathing conduit and circuit for God to be manifested in the earth. It's not just for our individual survival. It is for the survival of the world in which we're in. But we have to be mindful that it is flowing through us. We make it happen. But the universe is conspiring for your success. Just think about it. The universe is conspiring. It is put together. She don't know what she thinking and what she doing, but it's going to work out for her good anyway. So you can create this life of abundance because it's there. This universe has created it to make sure that you have everything that you need. If you don't have everything that you need, check your consciousness. Because we determine by our consciousness our destiny, not fate. I don't believe in fate. I get to choose what my destiny is. The power is in me. The power is in you. There's not something predetermined out there that I can't have any control over. I can control it because I have been given the power. And I'm not the only one. Everybody in here does. So that's why you always should think good about me. Because it's a part of my destiny as well. We don't believe in fate. We can change anything that is a condition because we know the principle. My destiny is to reveal God in the world the way I do it, and nobody else can do it my way. Nobody else can do it your way. But that is how important you are, that you are part of the fabric, the puzzle of life, and therefore your piece is yours. There's not another person cut out of the same thing as you. We need you to be you. It is not the devil. It is not evil. That is not what limits us, unless that's your BS. If that's your belief system, then you got a devil to believe and deal with. I don't need anybody else against me. I can make my life hard enough all by myself. There is no need for a devil in my life. While other people may play a role in shaping our lives and in giving this life of abundance, we are responsible for our own consciousness. You can go someplace else. They can tell you something different. But I'm here to tell you, we are responsible for our consciousness. So consider what your BS is. If your belief system is controlling your destiny, if it's not in the direction that you want it to go, change today, right now. You don't need to wait till another time. Do it now. Transcending from lack to abundance, though, may take time, but it will take courage. You will have to be willing to tell yourself, I was wrong in the past. And you don't want to tell everybody else they're wrong. That's probably what you will do first. But people won't like you. My father said that. Rick, you can't tell everybody everything you think. They won't like you. We must be willing to ask ourselves, though, whether or not there are thoughts and a consciousness of lack within our own selves. We have to be willing to answer the question honestly. Because if it is so, you only need courage to change your mind. It's bigger than we are. It's right where we left it. All we have to do is be aware of it. Does a belief in not enough exist within me? If it is time to use the spiritual practices that are necessary to move it along. I am willing to challenge any thought that I have that doesn't work for me. Are you willing to challenge yours? Holding on to it is just holding on to it when you can just let it go. Change your thinking, change your life. You have given your power away if you don't make those decisions for yourself. And if you have given your power away, let me give you some advice. Get your power back. Because you're not supposed to give it away, not give it to anyone. It was given to you. Therefore, that is, not only are we responsible, we have the power to make it happen. I learned I had the power to make all the bad things happen in my life. What about you? I had all the kind of power to do that. It's the same thing with good. But we have to be aware that we are an expression of this one God, and we cannot be separate from it. We must have an intention. We have to focus on where we are going and what we want from life. And we must be attentive to our intention. Intention plus attention times faith equals a consciousness of abundance. That's what it is. We have to have an intention and place our attention there, and then through our faith, it manifests in our life. That is what is so beautiful about thought, about the divine mind. At any time, we share in that consciousness. We are never lost. How do we take responsibility, though, for our own conscious development? Intention, attention, and faith, or Awareness, awareness, awareness. There's no other way. Try it if you will. There's no other way. So rule 1, be one with life. God is our source and our supply. Rule 2 is that there is no separation between us and God. There is only one life in which I live and move and have my very being. The third rule says that I am responsible for my consciousness. And number 4, go with the flow. Now, this is what we call real spiritual practice, going in the flow. Because the flow requires us to do something, okay? So we have to get in the divine flow. Now, flow, going with the flow has a lot of meanings. Often it means just go along with whatever's happening because pushing against it is just politically incorrect, right? But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the spiritual aspect of going with the flow that is the eternal life of love that we possess and is a conduit within our own selves. We get to choose to use it for our benefit, but we must be in the flow. Being in the flow. Well, Rick, what does that mean? I knew you were asking, so I'm going to tell you. It is our time, our talent, and our treasure. That's the flow. So we're going to do a spiritual demonstration. We used to call this, when I was a kid, we called it a spiritual demonstration. Take a deep breath and hold it as long as you can. Make sure you breathe before you pass out. I'm not at work. When you have to, go back to normal breathing. If you receive in life and don't give, it is like taking an inhalation and not exhaling. It's that way about everything, your time, talent, and treasure. If you don't flow with it, if you don't give it first in faith, you are not going to receive. You must inhale and exhale for the breath, or you're dead. Or you're dead. It doesn't take long either. You must inhale and exhale. To receive, you must give. That is the flow. The goodness in life that we demonstrate, the money that demonstrates in our life, that's where it comes from. It comes from us acting and receiving it. It's an amazing paradox, this law of circulation. It looks like it's backwards, right? It looks like I should get first and it should prove to me that it's going to bless me. Well, go ahead if you think that will work. Because I have never seen it work because your consciousness is not in the right place even if you get blessed. That's how you can waste all kinds of money because you don't have an intention. But you must take a breath. You must inhale and exhale.